It's his Volk! Time to enjoy card making with me! In today's video I will show you how you can use the stitched banner dies without the stitching and without using them only as a banner. Also, the text dies can be used in a different way. Let's start quickly. Here I already made 2 panels using the inner diamond stitching die. You see that you can make a full background with this die. I used this diamond die for both the backgrounds, only they are cut differently. On this example, I first die cut the upper line. Then I shifted the die and cut out the next row. And so on. I kept a little distance between the rows. Like you see, I cut out a row like this, took out all tiny papers that were still in the die by the way, and next I aligned in a way that the holes were aligned parallel everywhere, so that the hole in the die was at the same distance to the hole beneath it at both sides. And after die cutting, I shifted it again. Also, I used some low-tech tape to keep the die on the correct spot every time. And I made the points all point in the same direction. You could vary in this and do a point up and a point down, whatever you like. When you do that, you get this effect. However, in this example, I tried overlapping these middle holes, so that the leaves end up in one hole together. I was experimenting with this, but this is sort of what you can get. 2 diamonds mirrored close to one another. I used 2 colors of thread to stitch this one. And I think about why I used the deep pink and grey together. I might change it and use other colors, because when I stitched this one, I didn't mind checking if I had matching color paper in my stash. So take that in mind when you start stitching. Always have matching colored paper at hand, or inks that match. So if you repeat that pattern, you get this. On this panel I started by having the bigger holes point upwards, so the smaller points point downwards. Next I die cut again after turning the die 180 degrees. When taping the die down, I overlapped the die with this top hole. See, this is the overlapped hole. Exactly what I did for this example. The middle hole is cut twice. And for cutting the next row, I turned the die again by 180 degrees. And there I had overlapping this hole, the bigger one. I rotated the die again and had overlapping this hole, and so on and so on. So these holes are die cut twice every time. A tip for me on layering it perfectly is that you first cut out the first line. Then you turn the die and feel if these top holes fall into the top holes of the die. You can feel it sort of pop in the right place. Then you tape it down and run it through your die cut machine. Next you turn the die again. Get all tiny pieces of paper out of the holes of the die and have these bigger holes overlap. See, if they overlap, the die is stuck, pops in place, and you get a perfect cut. So now we have 2 nice backgrounds. And let's see how we can use them to make nice cards. To start, I make a base card that is 14.5 cm wide. That is the size that fits my biggest square envelopes. Not having a scoring board that has this exact width, I just use my guillotine trimmer. Along the base plate I fold the paper downwards. Please only do this if you are familiar with this trimmer. You can cut yourself if you are not careful. We now fold it, and it is not as nice as if you would have made a score line, but when folding this with a bone folder, we get pretty close. Now we see what part overhangs can be cut off. The pre-cut panel I want to fit to this card base. And also I want to have a small border, so some of it has to be cut off. Both the top row of holes have to be cut off to be able to fit. A shame of the pattern, but there's no other choice. And now we have to cut off the sides and try to make them the same width. As you see now, the width is 13 cm. If I cut off exactly the same amount on both sides, the panel will be even and square. This panel needs some extra color. I am inspired to use this gorgeous colored paper pad. There are beautiful gradients of pink and also gorgeous gradients of teal paper. It is paper by Craft Sensations and it inspires me to use on this card. I take the darkest shade to put under the panel. The size will be approximately 8 mm bigger than the panel. That will be 13.8 cm for the deep pink paper. I like the pink border around the panel. Also the color shows through the holes, which looks perfect. Then out of this same colored paper I will cut a text. Let us see which one to take. I already used them a lot. Let's take the word smile and only use the word, not the shading border. Having so many shades of paper makes it easier to choose, but also makes it harder to choose. If you don't have such paper, you can also ink blend on white paper and make some darker and lighter ones. I chose to cut the word 4 times and use the same color shade from light to dark. The colors are not that close together. Also, I use the glitter one. I like it to make this card special. These colored die cuts we will layer on top of each other. I glue the lowest text a bit shifted upwards. The lowest text is the lightest color. The paper I use is not that thick, so gluing it needs some carefulness. In the same way I glue the middle text on top and at last the glitter one as well. The title also has to be stacked. I could add the panel raised with foam, but that would have been a lot of work, making tiny pieces of foam squares, and in my opinion the pink color underneath won't shine through that well. So glued flat would be much quicker and better. The stacked text can now be added on top. I use foam blocks for more dimension. One row of foam blocks I cut in half to have smaller pieces. I will glue this stacked text in the middle of the card. However, there are ugly die cut spots lower on the card. I might cover them up with another sentiment or gems. It is very useful that there are holes in the panel. They help me to glue the text on straight. Sticking on the title is a bit small, but with tweezers it will work perfect. Also, these I stick on with a small foam block. For extra text I use this welcome baby stamp. This is also a text in one of ALINACRAFT banner text sentiments. I hope to link the right one in the descriptions. Alina sells more than one stamp set with banner dies. This one I stamped on both sides of the paper. I might had an oopsie stamping the first try and stamped it another time at the back. I did not use the matching banner die to cut the sentiment. This text I stamped and cut the text out myself. For the extra oomph I will add some diamond gems from ALINACRAFT. If you look up closely you will see that the reflection of these gems have magenta and cyan colors, which fit perfect to the color of the paper. I alternated between large and small gems and placed them on top of the larger holes. There are always ways to cover up your mistakes. The card would have been gorgeous without gems, but with them it looks much better, don't you think? This panel can go on top of a 14.5 cm card. I use ALINACRAFT double-sided tape for sticking the panel to the card. I almost finished this big roll of tape, but I have new ones. This is the 3 mm tape, the thinnest size. It goes a long way. There are different sizes, also 5 mm and 8 mm. Now let me show you how to stick the panel to the card without messing up the tape and getting it in the right position immediately. I've shown this before, but I guess it won't hurt as I still see so many crafters do it without this trick. If you go wrong, that would mean you have to stick the panel all over again to a new card base when you go skew. I pulled off the back of the middle tape but left the corners of the tape on the edges. But we don't want the middle tape to stick first and ruin the base card before we found the right spot. So what we can do best is use an already used backing paper of some of other double-sided tape and stick that to the tape temporarily. Now we can align the panel on the card. There is a possibility to wiggle as much as you need and pull off all backings when it is in the correct position. First tighten the corners, there where no backing is, and then remove the sheet and then remove all strips. To decorate the matching envelope, I will cut a deep pink colored strip of paper and die cut it with a stitched banner die. I let the top holes protrude just above the edge of the paper so they won't be cut out. And I prefer to cut on a cutting plate especially used for black and colored cardstock, so the one I use for white cardstock stays white and clean. That might be a good tip for you as well. Let me know in the comments what tips are useful for you. Also, please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I now made a decoration for the front and also will make one for the flap. First I lay down a piece of the same colored paper on top of the flap, but leave a border white. Next I use a corner punch to round off a corner. I mark off the places where to cut the paper to size. Then cut this triangle decoration flap on the spots where I made marks, and then cut it in the die cut machine with the stitched banner die, having protrude the top holes again. The envelope I have to go with the card measures 15 square centimeters. The stitching holes and embossing make the card unique, and the diamond gems make it luxurious. The layered color text is a fun accent on the card. Having a self-made card with matching envelope that looks like this feels special, don't you think? It's perfect for sending to friends or grandparents who got a newborn in their family. I like this card design so much that I wanted to make another one. This one is the one where I die cut the pattern without overlap of the stitch holes and without turning the die up and down when cutting every time. For this card I used the cyan and teal color paper. For the words to use on the card I picked congrats. I cut it out of 4 shades. Again I glued them slightly shifted together. Gluing them just in a row underneath each other could also have been a possibility. However, I chose to glue them close together and stacked. This time I glued the glitter one not on top but in the middle of the stack. To get more dimension, I stick them on the panel with foam blocks. The T-ruler helps me glue the extra sentiment straight and in the middle. The panel measures 14.8 square centimeter, so half of it would be 7.4 centimeter, and this would be the middle. To decorate this card, I choose to take these colored acrylic gems. In it are all different transparent colors. I only take out the cyan ones. These are the ones that match my paper. Too many gems wouldn't be nice. Having them scattered on the card looks best. To decorate this matching envelope, I used some congrats die cuts I had left. I chose the ones that fit best for the card and used the rest on the envelope. These leftovers I glued on the front bottom of the card and have it fold around the envelope to the back side. This is how the card turned out. The word congrats cut and stacked 4 times and glued shifted on top of each other. Glued on the card with foam squares. The colored gems that matched my cyan colored paper best I glued on top of some of the holes on the panel. And I added a matching text banner. I think this envelope looks quite modern and I'm always happy to use my leftovers on the envelopes. On the cyan card I die cut the stitched borders that are separate from each other and with the same amount of space between them each time, without overlapping holes. I did trim the panel a bit though. With a pink card I had the pattern die cut together, overlapping. This can sometimes cause a mistake because the paper might shift slightly during die cutting. And I solved that by gluing some beautiful gems on top. Those are these beautiful gems from ALINACRAFT. Here I layered the word smile on top of each other. I also die cut the envelope. And you can see how nice it is that I didn't use the top holes. Just like on the card, they are not visible because they are either cut off or covered by the gems. This way the border on the envelope matches better. I hope you enjoyed watching and learned new things or are inspired to make cards and use banner dies to make background panels. Check out the descriptions and leave a comment please. I have more for you to come. Other videos with the same stitch border dies can be found here in the top right corner or below in the descriptions. Don't forget to like this video and I will see you next time. Bye bye!